Scorpio. Welcome to your horoscope for the new moon in Pisces. This is happening on Monday, the 20th of February at 6 minutes past 6 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me, and it is going to be power. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope that you are too. Pisces for you rules your 5th house, which is where we learn to express ourselves and where we find our creativity and how that magics into some sort of reality. So that's really great. Like, it's how wonderful for you to have Pisces, the sign of intuition, magic, and psychic abilities in your creative house, in the house of expression. I imagine that there is something kind of uncanny, maybe, about the way that you create. And uncanny maybe is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Like, this sort of intuitive is definitely a very great word for this. But if I'm really into the possibilities of manifesting at a new moon in Pisces. The moon is really, really happy in Pisces. The moon does some incredible things in Pisces. In the tarot, the major secret of Pisces is the moon card itself. And I love this illustration by Pamela Coleman Smith because it's so evocative. And in some readings of it, it can be read as beware. But I think for the water signs, we know what's going on. We can really, really work with the moon. So have a look. And it's almost, I can see you here as well, Scorpio, in this. But let me explain it to you. There's the full moon, the brightness of that lunation happening. And there's two creatures here. One of them is a dog, and one of them is a wolf or a fox. It's got a big fluffy tail. It actually looks like a fox. And so there's something emerging from the depths of the water. There's something creeping up to the surface that's being guided by the moon's light. And these two creatures here, I would say, are a choice. Something along the lines of, are you going to go the safe way, the domesticated way, the good boy way? Or are you going to be a wild child and let your hair down and go follow your instinct? So I like all of this imagery wrapped in up and all around your creative zone. This moon is going to be a really potent moment of manifestation for you. There's so much that is about to boil over, shift over, come up from the depths for everyone over the next months. March is looking really chockers as far as those outer planets moving sign, as we were talking about in the last readings. So this is almost like a prelude. It's almost like a preparatory zone of how are we going to make this astrology work with us? How are we going to work with the astrology? How are we going to benefit from these massive changes? And the outer planets can be quite forceful too. So you think about Saturn is moving into Pisces. Saturn is leaving Aquarius, moving into Pisces. Pluto is leaving Capricorn, moving into Aquarius. You know, Saturn was the outer limits as far as the eye could see, the boundaries of life. Pisces loves to dissolve things. Pisces loves to melt them away. Think about barnacles. Think about a treasure chest in a sunken ship and that lovely erosion that happens to some structural integrity of those things. That's Saturn in Pisces. That's coming up. So think about that as well. Think about the restrictions around your sense of roots. Aquarius is your 4th house, remember? So it's kind of like the space around your ancestry or your home, the physical space of where you find comfort and safety, and the boundaries that have had to be put in place in there. Those lessons have been learned, haven't they? Saturn won't be entering Aquarius for another 30 years. So this is kind of pivotal. This is important. This is the activation, the beginning of something new. So when Saturn moves into Pisces, into your creative zone, let's check the date here. That's happening on the 8th of March. Okay, so it's sort of like 2 and a bit weeks after this lunation. Dissolving happens. The boundaries are going to start to shed, perhaps not so much to do with your home environment, but to do with your individual self-expression, the person that you're becoming, the person that you are transforming into. I really like this moon, so I'm a bit excited, but it's actually quite exciting. I want to show you the tarot card for the 1 degree point of Pisces. That's another thing about this reading. It's really the 1 degree point of any sign is really critical. That's sort of like initiation. That's where the lessons are presented, you know? So we have access to this lunation. We have access to our magic at a new moon. We get to create our reality with our minds and with our magical tools, whatever they might be. I really like this, and I hope that you feel the inspiration at this one, Scorpio. I'm going to pull some intuitive tarot in a minute, but at the 1 degree point of Pisces where this lunation is taking place, so it's a day after we begin Pisces season, we have that conjunction of the sun and the moon. It's the 8 of Cups. This individual is setting out on a journey to find the missing cup in their collection. All of their lessons so far are lined up on the shoreline. All of the emotional swings and roundabouts that they've been through, the love is there as well. You know, they've kept everything. They've kept their treasure, but they're missing something. Right here, you can see that stack would be far more aligned if there was one there. And so they're going out to seek that cup and to bring it back. So what are you going out to seek, Scorpio? And what creative projects, what art are you hoping to make? Or how are you willing to express yourself? If you're feeling your magical powers start to boil and to rise, how do you wish to express them? This will be the moon for you to ask for a bit of guidance from the planet, from the earth, from the plants, the trees, the birds, the butterflies, all of that stuff. There's some other planetary influence to this too. So Mercury has entered Aquarius, and they're in trine with Gemini, with Mars in Gemini, rather. So that that pressure that we've been talking about with Mars's influence in Gemini, that aggression, perhaps, that sort of that feeling of like nearly quick to anger, that kind of that intensity. Mercury in Aquarius is intel from the gods. So there's some support there too. There's some sort of clarity. It feels like things are crystallizing. So I wonder if it's been like creative block. Let's get this intuitive tarot out before I put my foot in it. But if it has been a bit blocked for you lately, and you know what, that actually might be a little bit of a forecast. If Saturn's entry into Pisces shows up as creative block, then you know who to work with, you know who to turn to. It's Saturn. If you've got things cooking or things that the ideas maybe aren't so free-flowing, come March, it might be the influence of Saturn, and that's the planet that you can carve into your candle. That's the planet that you can try and spot in the sky and learn about the influence of Saturn in Pisces. It's been 30 years since they've been there, so depending on how old you are, think back to 30 years ago. If you can, maybe you're experiencing your Saturn return. Maybe this is something about a reckoning of self. When we have our Saturn return, that means when our Saturn placement, when transiting Saturn comes around and meets that and makes a conjunction with that point. That's pivotal. It usually happens when you're about 28 or 29, is this moment of, okay, so this is life moving forward. How am I going to show up? What are my limits? What are my boundaries? And I imagine that if you've got a Saturn in Pisces placement, those boundaries might be a little movable and a little shiftable. Saturn might not be so comfortable in Pisces just because of the opportunity to shapeshift, Does that make any sense? I hope it does. I've just pulled you some intuitive tarot, and I have the Six of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles upside down, and the Knight of Swords. So this to me tells me a story of lack a little bit. So let's flesh it out. I don't think that give me the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. I don't think that that is possibly all true. I'm not sure what's been said to you, Scorpio, but the information that you maybe have been relying on or working with, perhaps there's been things that have been said to you, or kind of like there's been, instructions that have been given. It's sort of like, this is the way we do things, or this is how this kind of project falls out, or this is, it's kind of almost feels like, I don't know if you have applied for some sort of support or funding or something like that, and it turned out it was almost reneged. That's a specific message, and that might not be for you exactly, but this Ace of Pentacles upside down is sort of like an offer that didn't come to much, a seed that didn't take. And this Knight of Swords in reverse, it's sort of like, how true was that? Were you yanking my chain? Were you pulling my leg? So, and you can see here the Six of Pentacles is the card of reciprocation. It's the card of asking for what you need when you need it, and for paying it forward, giving it out when you have enough. So I'm going to pull one more card because I want a solution to this. I'm sorry if that's happened to you. It may not have been. That may be a really specific message for someone that saw potential, that was sort of, I keep it, it's sort of classic, but like, applying for an opportunity, applying for, the next step, the next leg up, there's, multiple different arts organizations that provide, funding and support for creative people, or perhaps there was some, deal that was struck in some way with a person in your environment that was like, I'm willing to back this thing. I really think you've got the stuff. And then that was reneged. So that's kind of what I'm getting here. And again, it might be a specific message for someone. It might not be ringing true to you. Okay, well, the Eight of Wands in reverse is like a kind of like reins being pulled up. Eight of Wands upright is magic in action. That's everything is aligned, the stars are aligned, let's do this thing. That's not so. So yeah, this is really telling me a story of kind of like, whoa. This can't work out the way that I'd hoped it. And I'm shitty because all my sort of ducks were in a row. I got it all figured out, and then someone pulled the pin, or that person didn't hold to their promise. That didn't turn out the way that I thought that it would, is really the energy that I'm getting here. But I think if we tie this in with the astrology, I think that we can use this new moon in Pisces to be like, you know what, I'm going to do it alone. I'm going to use my magic. I'm going to pray to this moon to get this thing off the ground off my own steam. It's, perhaps there's a lesson here in gut instinct as well. It's a good time of the year to talk about gut instinct. That's what Pisces knows really well. It goes beyond the brain. And this Knight of Swords is sort of, I can see the chatter. I can see the big talk kind of feeling here. And this is not what we do at Pisces. We feel things out. We can close our eyes and we can feel it. Like, remember that dog and that wolf, trust. Maybe on that dog, wolf, you're not a little puppy dog. You're a fox. You can see in the dark. So you're going to do this by yourself. You're going to gather up tools, look at your resources, look at what it is that you need, and find different ways. There's crowdfunding is, if you've not tried it before, I suggest that you give it a go. You'll be surprised how much the word of, when you speak something, then it is so, we can spend so much time here and thinking about things and ruminating about things and kind of limiting ourselves because it's sort of like, oh, they'd never go for it, or I shouldn't do that, or what if this happens, or I really need support from that particular person, so I'm going to go by the book. And then, I'm going to be disappointed because I'm too reliant on outside sources to qualify my work. Yeah, there's something about coming back into instinctual reality for you, Scorpio, that I really like. And I think water sign to water sign, it's going to work for you. You know, like this, think about it, this lunation will be in trine, be in support of whatever you've got going on in Scorpio, rising, sun, moon, whatever it is you're watching this for. This is support. And so this is almost, as I said, it's like this portal about, like we're about to set off on a journey. I'm sorry it didn't work out the way that you thought, but it's not stopping. You're not stopping. You can't stop. You've got to do this thing. If it's a creative project, my mum always says that without art, the world would die. You know, like it's, if you need a little pep talk about what you're spending your time on as well, Scorpio, then I'm happy to let you know that whatever floats your boat and however your brain works and however you express yourself, however you find that avenue, like go for it. We need you to do it. It's not kid stuff. It's not irresponsible to be thinking about art making and creating and expressing at times like these. I know that it does feel like that. It does feel, you know, we could all limit ourselves and say, look, let's set down all of our tools and all of our access to beauty and love at this moment and not do that because of the horror that's going on. But I think that I'm going to say it again, that art saves lives. It does, and that sounds really, really privileged for me to say, sitting in this country at this time, and it is. And I've got to use that privilege. I've got to put that privilege to good use. You know, so do you. You are safe. You've got art to make. You've got a job to do. So do it. Sand's gone. Haha. Love you, Scorpio. Love you so much. Head to umaruby.com, book yourself in a birth chart reading. I suggest the spirit reading if we've not had a chat before. That's a really good meaty one that goes a little bit deeper than your sun sign. You really have a look at your rising sign and the potential for growth in that area. Anyway, you can also head to buymeacoffee.com and throw some money in the tip jar. It's always so much appreciated. I'm looking to buy myself some new equipment because I'm relying on an iPhone to do this, and it's great, but it's also really sloppy. So anyway, I love you very much. Head to umaruby.com, sign up to my newsletter. Let's stay in touch. Let me know how this Pisces new moon goes for you. I'm really gonna gun this one home. I'm really excited. So I can't wait to see what comes of it before the wave of things to come in March. Love you heaps, Scorpio. Keep your chin up. Bye.